Have the New York Knicks discovered the formula for success? Or rather, has Leon Rose discovered the formula for success in the NBA? Because what he has done is not very common in the best basketball league in the world. Let me explain.
Extended possession, Brunson to the cup, gets the roll.
There are certain colleges that take their prospects to the NBA draft season after season. Programs like Duke, Kentucky, or Kansas have this reputation, always led by top coaches. And franchises scramble for players who can succeed in such a demanding environment. But the Knicks have pulled off a completely bizarre experiment by NBA standards, an experiment that may change the way that GMs build their teams from now on. Virtually every fan in the league, even the most casual, has heard of the Villanova Knicks. Everyone has heard about a group of players that succeeded in Division I basketball has been put together by a GM with a very clear idea, which is to build a championship team. But behind that, there is a much bigger project, a project that threatens to change the league forever. So, let's talk about it. It was 2013 when an 18-year-old Josh Hart arrived at Villanova to begin a process. The process of building a winning program in Division I. His coach, Jay Wright, had an idea to get there, but he didn't yet have the right tools to do it. And it took 2 years before the team was finally ready to compete for the NCAA tournament. The reason was simple. 3 extremely talented players were recruited to join the roster in 2015. We are, of course, talking about guards Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo and forward Mikal Bridges. 3 players that, along with Josh Hart and Ryan Arcidiacono, would elevate Villanova to the highest level.
Now a national championship coach. Just blew the rim up.
In their first season together, they already achieved a goal that is practically impossible for any college due to the enormous competitiveness that exists: to become champions of the NCAA tournament after an unforgettable March Madness. But the most impressive thing is that Villanova repeated this feat 2 years later with the same core of players except Josh Hart. Only some players from Florida who won in 2006 and 2007 and some players from UConn who won in 2011 and 2014 have managed to win 2 NCAA championships in the 21st century until Villanova did it again. But everyone knew that after this success, it was time. It was time for the members of that unrepeatable Wildcats roster to begin their careers in professional basketball. In 2017, Josh Hart managed to be selected in the last pick of the first round of the draft and was immediately traded to the Lakers. But in the 2018 draft, the rest of Villanova's core faced the biggest day of their professional careers. None was a super athlete, none was a highly valued prospect by NBA scouts, and all were older than the other prospects in their class, having spent more than a year in college. But what everyone knew was that these players knew how to win. In fact, they were born winners. Mikal Bridges ended up in Phoenix, Jalen Brunson ended up in Dallas, and Dante DiVincenzo ended up in Milwaukee. The members of that team, teammates who had shared everything, knew it was unlikely they would ever play together again. But Leon Rose, the Knicks president of basketball operations, had another idea. During the 2022-2023 season, the Knicks acquired the services of Josh Hart in a trade and Jalen Brunson in a controversial free agency signing, who joined former Villanova teammate Ryan Arcidiacono.
High-scoring games. Arcidiacono packs out a 3.
And during the next offseason, they also acquired Dante DiVincenzo in free agency. And the most incredible thing is that these players took over almost immediately, even when New York had an all-star like Julius Randle. With their star injured, the rest of the team's players, including newly acquired OG Anunoby, stepped up to the task. New York was at its best in the first round of the playoffs after finishing the regular season in second place in the East, and their opponent was not a real seed 7 because the Sixers had also suffered injuries that hurt their record, but they had Joel Embiid back for the playoffs. It was one of the toughest opponents they could have faced, but they did the impossible. Jalen Brunson showed why he's one of the best guards in the league. His ability to carry an entire offense was enhanced by the absence of Julius Randle, who is a forward who needs a lot of touches to be productive. But the Knicks decided to turn that series into a battle royale. Philadelphia and New York had already played the lowest scoring game of the entire regular season a few weeks earlier, but it got even more heated during the playoffs. With Tom Thibodeau at the helm, one of the best defensive coaches in the modern modern NBA, and with his 8-player rotation, the Knicks were able to apply an extremely tough defense against one of the league's most lethal scorers. Thanks to Isaiah Hartenstein's defense on Joel, and thanks to a huge collective effort on the boards, New York was able to take the series in 6 games, with impossible comebacks included, like the one that happened in Game 2. Their will to win was superior to the Sixers' talent, and that allowed them to advance to the conference semifinals for the 2nd consecutive season, a milestone they had not achieved since 2000. But not only that, New York, without arguably their best player, was just 1 win away from qualifying for their first conference finals of the millennium, because Tyrese Halliburton's Pacers struggled mightily to beat them. However, the short rotation of Tibbs, coupled with the injury of OG Anunoby, who had been dragging health problems all season, made them fall at the gates. A sad elimination that, nevertheless, could not tarnish the great campaign that the Knicks had started, and all of the fans were eager to see what was going to happen next year. This expectation grew even more after the end of the season, because in a surprising trade with the Brooklyn Nets, Leon Rose got the last piece of the puzzle. He really got a player who over the past 2 seasons has performed like a star. Mikal Bridges was heading to the Big Apple to join the rest of the team with whom he had won 2 NCAA championships just over 6 years ago. A surprising move that has further staked out the perimeter rotation of one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference.
Shot clock winding down. Bridges connects.
The addition of Bridges further increases the roster's ceiling because the forward is another two-way player who fits like a glove in Tom Thibodeau's plans. He is not a player who needs the ball a lot. In fact, since his rookie year, he has shown an incredible ability to adapt to the role of a role player. But Mikal is not the player he was in Phoenix. He's much better, and his scoring ability will provide Jalen Brunson with a new piece capable of drawing defenders with his gravity. However, the Knicks have also had to make sacrifices, and few seem as impactful as the loss of Isaiah Hartenstein. His enormous contribution during the playoffs guarding Joel Embiid while showing good offensive qualities has caught the attention of all GMs, especially Sam Presti, who this summer decided to offer him an $87 million contract for 3 seasons for the center to move to Oklahoma City. And this is a sensitive loss for New York, because although they have probably the best perimeter rotation in the conference, their interior depth has been severely damaged. Mitchell Robinson will be the defensive anchor for a team that needs players capable of defending the best big men in the East, such as Joel Embiid himself or Bam Adebayo in a hypothetical playoff series next year. But Tibbs' defensive versatility will help them find the right solutions to this problem, or at least that's the plan. Should that not be the case, New York would have the option to look for that big man to complement the team in the market, squeezing the last assets of a franchise that has invested everything in the present. But I don't think anyone can doubt one aspect. When it comes to chemistry, the Knicks are the best team in the NBA. Their players have triumphed as a group in college, and they have also triumphed in professional basketball. Although this triumph is relative, because in the NBA, all teams want to aspire to lift the Larry O'Brien. Now, is the roster good enough? What we know today is that this winning team chemistry in the NCAA has carried over to the league. None of those members were highly recruited prospects. They all seem to come into the draft as role players or bench pieces. But the cohesiveness that this group has shown has been able to change GM's perceptions of these types of college teams. This cutting-edge style of construction may serve as an inspiration for other franchises to consider doing the same. Basketball is a tremendously complex sport, with as many influencing factors as one can imagine. However, if something has worked in the past, there is no reason why it should stop working now, and the Knicks have taken this to heart. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're always breaking down the biggest stories and trends in the NBA, and you won't want to miss our future videos. And hey, while you're at it, smash that bell icon too. That way you'll be notified as soon as we drop new content. Trust me, with how quickly things change in the NBA, you'll want to stay up to date.